my number 10 is simply Shaun of the Dead. And I think this Matthew just made your list
Nice.
as well.
Number six for me. Number six for me. That was my sixth favorite.
Number six,
Yeah.
right? It. I mean, what is there to see? I know. Ricardo said he treats it as the trilogy, rightfully so. They call it a trilogy. But when you talk, and most people when you ask them what's your number one in that trilogy, they will say Shaun of the Dead. Troy says it for him is Hot Fuzz. He loves Hot Fuzz, but
Yeah.
as a
I
horror
go back and
lover, for
forth.
me,
I go back and forth with Hot Fuzz and this movie, but
it's Shaun
oftentimes
of the
Sean
yeah.
is up there for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's just so many fun shout outs to zombie movies while still, like we said, doing its own thing, being its own movie, very British movie in all the best ways. And it gave us Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, and the world is a better place for it. This is definitely one of those movies that I adore rewatching just for the fact that there's so much going on in the foreground and the background. And it is, you could
Yeah.
almost watch this movie and then just watch the background. And there's a
Yes,
whole lot
yes.
of movies you
Mm.
can place in the background. And I absolutely love that. There's so much uh, world building in this movie, as simple as the premise is. And I adore it. It's never boring. It always makes me smile. It always makes me laugh. And it always makes me a little bit sad because so for that surprising moment with Sean and his mom,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
even the
yeah.
one with even the one with his stepdad, it has these moments of genuine, emotional, impactful
Yes.
moments there that you wouldn't expect in something like this. So when it happens, it definitely hits home. So yeah, Shaun of the Dead for me, it would make my number 10. And beating that out, probably because I'm such a Stephen King fangirl, is Doctor Sleep. That
I
I love
okay,
this
my well, that
movie,
was one of my honorable mentions, but yeah, loved it when I saw it in
right?
theaters. I feel okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I should actually do this for for Halloween weekend. Watch The Shining and then follow that up with Doctor Sleep. I need to do
Yeah.
that.
Right?
I need to do that.
It'll be a totally different experience. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. I think
Yeah.
I'll do that too.
Yeah, listen, there are, and Alicia knows this about me. I probably own every Stephen King adaptation on DVD. And
Yeah.
I acknowledge the fact that a lot of the early ones, they're not great. They're not great, right? Because but I still find myself enjoying them for various reasons. Like I'm a huge fan of Night Flyer. I know most people don't even realize that movie exists. I think the manga is ridiculous fun. I stand by stuff like Pet Cemetery, the original Pet Cemetery, and even that weird one with the cat people. What's it called? It's passing at the name right now. It's a very, very weird movie, but weird it's one of those so bad it's good movies. But when it comes to this movie, it's one of my favorite books. And I think they nailed the book so well. It blew me away. Because I was like, I didn't know how you would adapt Doctor Sleep and not leave a ton of stuff out. But I know when I saw it was Mike Flanagan gonna be behind the lens, I got super excited. Flanagan is my favorite modern day horror director. He's my number one. Um, and just watching what he's done with his Netflix series, where I had a lot of faith in him for this, and I'm happy to say that he delivered. Especially, I would recommend the director's cut of Doctor Sleep, the extended cut, because there's some really good stuff there. But yeah, this movie, I was super impressed by it. The visuals. Um, I felt like they took they without really, because I know some people take issue with the finale, with the ending, and they say, oh, it's just one of those, it's a member berries, the member berries in South Park, you remember um to The Shining. But I feel like it brought it all home. It had to go back to the Overlook. It has to end there, kind of thing. And I just really, really enjoyed this movie. I thought the young actress did a phenomenal job. Ewan McGregor was a perfect casting choice for the character as well. And the visuals, the way they represent the plane, the psychic plane. I love the stuff they did there. I thought the antagonists were terrifying.
Rebecca Ferguson
Poor
was also amazing as well
right?
too.
Rebecca, yeah,
As well.
yeah, Rebecca, yeah, and Jacob Tremblay. That scene of with that now Jacob Tremblay. You
All
may not
right,
know
he
his
was in
name,
that
but I
too,
promise
right?
you, he yes, he is one of those young actors who seems like he's been in every horror movie for the past 10 years,
Oh,
playing
well, well,
that
well,
kid.
you know what's so funny is that he was just in that new Toxic Avenger movie. Just on a
Yes,
side note,
I
just on
heard
a side note,
so.
yeah.
Yes, so that scene with them feeding off of him has already been voted. I think it was on Among the Darkness. I think it was In Search of Darkness. I think it made people they talked about it might have been on that list, talking about most terrifying moments in horror. And that scene where they're feeding off of him, and it's so hard
What
to watch because
it is, it's very hard to watch and super disturbing.
yeah, and even the actors said that apparently like when they call cut, people had to walk away because they were crying because
Mm-hmm.
it was like he was so good in it. It's just so disturbing. And whenever I think more and more horror movies seem to be breaking that rule of kids don't get hurt, yeah? But it's still catching me off guard when it happens. So yeah, Doctor Sleep for the win, absolutely. Um, another another new modern horror director that's just been knocking it out of the park. And of all his films, I think this one is still my favorite, The Witch, or The Vivitch, as some people like to say. Um,
Robert Eggers, yep,
yeah,
yep, his
Robert
debut,
Eggers,
loved it.
right? The Witch, it's this, again, the world building, the creating a universe that you're watching it and you're completely sucked in from not just the costumes and the visuals, but even the dialogue itself. You have to pay such close attention to what these people are saying to understand what they're saying. But it makes it all that more immersive, and you do feel that sense of isolation because of it. And the story here, it's one of those movies where that, and again, it's one of those horror movies that leave people discussing whether it was psychological or it was paranormal. You have this family that have been ousted by their community. Imagine being ousted in a puritanical community for being too puritanical. That's insane to me. And they are trying to carve out a living. Bonita, possibly. We're not too sure if the witch. I say it's real. Some people say it's psychological. That a witch starts taking them out one by one,
It was
and
real. It was real, man. Come on.
yeah, right. I actually saw a theory that I found quite interesting. People were talking about if you look at they were trying to harvest. I think it was corn, and the corn had gotten infected, so they couldn't
Yes.
really right. And some person much smarter than me on the internet had made they had a theory that the disease the corn was affected with actually does cause people if inhaled or digested to see things, you hallucinate, you would have it would cause us like a psychotic break, that sort of thing. So some people theorize that the corn they were eating were making them see these things, and it was actually the family kind of turning on each other due to the
Right.
hunger and the isolation. I prefer the fact that it was witches.
Yes, yes,
I
yes, yes,
prefer that
yes.
storyline, right?
Oh,
Yeah, so yeah,
but in
that
case you forget though, Black Phillip, anyone? Come on. Come on.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, right? Um, and I did. This is one again. This is one of those movies where depending on who you are, you may get something different. Some people get a feminist storyline from it, and some people get a storyline. Some people say it represents grief. The stages of grief, with each family member representing a different stage of grief. Or I used to I theorized that each family member represents a different sin. the son being lost and the father being pride and the mother being anger and all these different things, I have all these little theories and stuff, but that's why I love this movie. It's one of those films that every time I watch it, I can look at it from a different point of view and enjoy it in a different way. And that brings me to my number 7. And as Alicia knows, in all the classic Universal monsters, my favorite has always been the Wolfman. And I love werewolves. I love anything to do with werewolves. I love a good werewolf story, and they're very rare. They're very hard to find. But
Yeah.
one of the best we ever got was Dog Soldiers. And this
Wow,
is a
I
movie,
need to
yeah,
rewatch that, right? From the director of The Descent, in case you forgot or didn't know. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, right? And like The Descent, Dog Soldiers is one of those movies. While you were watching it, you had absolutely no idea what was coming your way,
Yeah.
and it just made for a fantastic watch. And even when I rewatch it now, because on the initially watching it, it's one of those horror movies that it takes a turn, right? You're watching it and it feels like you're watching maybe an action movie, that sort of thing. And then stuff starts to happen. You're like, wait a minute, what is going on? Is this a horror movie? And one of the things I'm lucky enough that when I saw Dog Soldiers, it was basically before people used to spoil everything online with the trailers giving away too much and it's too much information and right, sometimes you go on a website and right in the bloody heading, they give away something big. So you can't even say if you're a person that reads quickly, you're like, oh crap, I didn't need to see that. I want to see the movie. They just spoiled it for me. I'm happy to say when I saw Dog Soldiers, I knew absolutely nothing about it going in. I just had a wonderful, wonderful time with this movie. And again, taking a modest budget and creating some of the best looking werewolves I've ever seen, making the smart choice to keep them in shadow for as long as possible. The movie is also quite funny in a lot of places, right? And a lot of these actors went on to become quite well known, So this is one of those movies I've been begging for a sequel. I know fans have been begging for a sequel for years. At this point, I don't think we'll ever get it. We probably might get a reinterpretation or a remake or something before we get any kind of sequel. But I don't need it. I can just pop in Dog Soldiers and watch it again. So, yeah, Dog Soldiers is my number 7. My number 6, and I don't think Alicia likes this one. But my number 6 is The Invisible Man. Liv Wannell's The
Wow.
Invisible
Okay.
Man.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
I saw it
right?
once in theaters. That was before the lockdown even started. But I need to rewatch that. I really enjoyed that film.
why?
Yes,
Why?
I
But
know.
Alicia,
And
it's from your favorite director though, Lee Wannell. Like I thought you love all of his films. I mean, just saying.
That is the only one I don't like, Matthew. That is the only one I don't like.
Is it
and
because
for
of
me, the
the subject matter, which yes is rough, I understand, but is it because of that?
No, I just don't like the premise whatsoever. I mean, I'm a huge lover of the original Invisible Man
yeah,
with Claude Reeves,
yeah.
right?
As am I. As am I.
But I was hoping to see something that stuck more along those lines. Sometimes I think that modernizing something for me is not always the best way to go. I I didn't like the modernization of it being a suit and I don't know. I just didn't like it. I tried to watch it again. Honestly, the first watch I was like, okay, maybe I'm not understanding it, and I tried to sit down and watch it a second time to say, let me give it a fair try, and I still didn't like it. I tried.
That's all
Well,
right. That's all right. Okay.
yeah,
Um, I get what you're saying, but I know the thing is, I adore the original, The Invisible Man as well. As the Universal Classic score, that's like top 3 for me. Um, but that was a movie about science gone wrong, and this is a movie about science being abused. Well, it's a movie with science being abused, I should say. But I think one of the things I absolutely adore about this film, besides the fact that I think it's a really smart way to update the premise in it being the suit, because it feels logical, it feels possible, like something like this could exist, would exist in this timeline. Um, is the fact that the way this movie is shot, he would, the way it's framed, a scene would be framed, and you would have this feeling like there's somebody in the room with her because there's way too much space on that side of the screen. It's such a smart way to evoke there's somebody in the room, whether or not there is. It kept me on edge the entire time. And I just thought it was a brilliant way to frame a character such as that without, because if they kept showing that suit or that character like that, I feel like it would have dulled the impact of how scary the concept of being stalked is. Because as a woman, this was a woman who, the topic being DV, so I won't get too much into it because I don't want to upset any viewers. But the character running away from such a situation, and women these days, they tell, they have the whole argument is, well, why would women choose a bear? I even saw a meme the other day that I thought was hilarious. Some guy tweeted, so what would women do? Who would protect you if all the men were gone? Um, and somebody's answer, which I thought was perfect, was protect you from what? Protect us from what? In other words, men don't seem to understand how terrifying some of them can be. And this is a man who just will not take no for an answer. And you're dealing with somebody as well who has access to money, and it always makes it so much harder. And there's so many themes in this movie that touches on how difficult it is for a woman to get out of a situation like that. Because putting aside the sci-fi horror aspect of it, the real life horror in it is there are moments where she's trying to tell people, hey, this is happening to me. And they're like, is it though?
Yeah, yeah,
Why would
I
this
remember that.
person do that to you? Yeah, so there's a lot of what it feels like to be alienated and isolated by these types of horrible individuals. Um, Granted, the ending didn't quite nail it for me. I felt like the ending felt a bit rushed, but it doesn't take away from the fact that this is, to me, a brilliant way of updating a classic movie. Instead of, because it's easy just to say, okay, I'm just going to do a gothic version of the movie. Then it's pretty much the same film being remade. This is not a remake. This is a reinterpretation, and I'm all for reinterpretations in horror, which is why this one would make my top list. Not that I don't like gothic horror. I am a huge fan of gothic horror. I am super excited for Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. I absolutely loved The Wolfman, the one with Benicio del Toro. I think that movie gets a bad rap. I think that movie's fantastic. But this is how I would
What
reinterpret.
about the one that came out earlier this year that Ricardo
Oh no, I
talked
didn't like
about
that.
and
I
didn't
didn't
care
like.
for at
Oh,
all?
oh, oh, oh. Didn't
And
like
that
that
and
one.
that was Lee Van Elton. That to me that one dropped the ball. I didn't like that. I didn't like it. I think it was a little too much. It went a little too far from what the whole werewolf thing is. There was a lot of potential there. The concept of seeing it all from the point of view of the werewolf, of the person that's becoming the werewolf. I
Yeah.
thought that was interesting. Um, but I don't know. Something doesn't work. Something there is lacking. I'm not too sure exactly. I need to rewatch it because I've only seen it the one time. To see what it is about it that didn't work for me. But if I'm ranking them, definitely I'm giving it to his The Invisible Man. And that brings me to my number five. My number five is one of the. I have seen this movie at least 7 times now, and I absolutely still love it like the first time I saw it. And that's gonna be Prey.
Okay,
Dan
all
starting with
right.
Prey. Yes.
I like that we're doing the is this a horror? It kind of is, even though that kind of stuff. Because yeah, my list was just overpopulated with that. But yes, absolutely agree. This to me, um, reinvigorated the Predator franchise.
Yeah.
Yes. A 1,000%. And the thing about it is like we had lost a little hope there when Shane Black of all people dropped the ball with the Predator. You know, you'd expect him
Which
of all
I
people to,
hated
right?
so
Yeah,
much.
that movie's terrible. That movie's horrible, right? But then they and they thank God they make Dan Trachtenberg, the am I saying his name right? Trachtenberg. I can never pronounce his last name properly.
I think it's
Um, Trachen,
Traching,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, right. He's now the showrunner for the Predator series, and I couldn't be happier because this and Killer of Killers, oh my
Ooh,
God,
I love Killer of
just
Killers. Love, 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 love that. Yeah.
fantastic. Talk about paying homage to the original, being respectful to the first film, while also creating a whole, expanding on the world, adding to the story, giving us fantastic new characters to root for. And I see people who internet trolls arguing that there's no way a female could have taken down that predator and stuff. Just shut the hell up.
Yeah,
As far as just
that
shut up because I don't
actress
think that.
with Hunter, I think her name is, was
Yeah,
Yeah,
excellent.
I
yeah.
mean, it's Amber Midthunder. I mean, like, come on, she can do anything in my eyes, right? But, but I mean, like,
But
people were
and
serious about saying that she couldn't take down the Predator. Come on, man.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
funny thing, yeah, because the funny thing to me is those people I am sure are people who didn't even watch the movie because there's so much smart and cunning involved in the way she takes him down. This is not a one-on-one fight. She's not coming at him head on. She
yeah,
outsmarts this creature. She studies it the way, and the cool thing is they show you where the predator is even studying other animals to see which animals because there's an evolution of the animals that he's taking down from the beginning. I think it starts with a snake and then a wolf and then
yeah,
that epic shot with the bear, right?
yeah,
And she does something very similar. She studies how he moves, what he does. There are scenes where she runs. She knows they can't take him on head on. So I don't even bother to get involved in that stupid argument. That's a stupid argument. This movie is just fantastic. This movie is wonderful. This is how you do a prequel. Because so many prequels, you feel like, well, I know what's coming, so how can I get invested in this? The smart move is you create a prequel that happened hundreds of years prior. So there's no connection to Dutch in that way. And at the same time, lines like classic lines, like if it bleeds, we can kill it. It was so smartly done and executed because it didn't feel like they were trying to. Hey guys, look, we said the thing. The way they did that stupid get to the chopper line in the Predator. That was so cringe for want of a better word. And here the writing is smart, the directing is smart, the pacing is perfect, the acting is great, and it all leads up to Predator Killer of Killers with that phenomenal post-credit scene that just makes me so hopeful for Predator Badlands. So I'm trying to not get too excited and end up, aiming too high. But at the same time, I feel like Trachtenberg is doing a phenomenal job with this series. And it's matching the energy. I see the Alien series is like matching the energy of the Predator series. And it gives me so much hope for these two phenomenal characters going forward. Um, so my number four, this is one I might be cheating a little bit on this one because I said that in my qualifiers I talk about replayability, but this is a movie I will rewatch. I do rewatch, but not often because it's so disturbing, and that's Hereditary. Uh,
Nice. Ari Aster finally made it to your list. Nice, nice, nice.
right? I did swing between this and Midsummer, but I feel like Hereditary. First of all, it's not an easy thing to scare me. This movie was chilling. This movie, it's so atmospheric. There's so much dread, and the replayability, to sit down and rewatch it again is because it's also one of those movies where there's so much being revealed in the background, and that you realize that this family was doomed from the very beginning, from the very beginning of that funeral, and when you realize all the people at that funeral are basically worshippers of this cult of this demon called Payman. Um, it's just it's one of those movies that why I enjoy too is I can watch this as just a straightforward horror if I choose to, as a sort of a supernatural horror movie if I want to, of a family against this demon, against this cult. But it's so much more than that, and it's right there in the name, where it's a family that's also battling hereditary demons, where you have families where sadly, they may have somebody who's schizophrenic in the family, bipolar, they suffer with depression and anxiety. And we're old enough now to understand that these things can be genetic. So as a parent, you can have that fear that you've passed these terrible things on to your children, and are they going to be able to handle it? Are they going to survive it? And it's those real world horrors that, people who do battle those issues may watch this movie and it may fill them with such a deep sense of dread. They may not even be able to watch this movie because of the fact that it might be hitting too close to home. But I do love a film that surprises me, and this movie surprised the hell out of me. I think it surprised the hell out of a lot of people when it decapitated a child to begin with, right? And it just got worse and worse from there. And it's a brutal film. It's not an easy watch, in any shape or form, but it is quite terrifying as horror movies go. And like I said, that's not something that I find a lot of movies. I can't find a movie that I'll feel uncomfortable. Um, I may find a movie where I get jump scared here and there. It's rare, but it happens. But Hereditary is definitely a movie that I had to watch with the lights on, so to speak. The more I watch it, the more uncomfortable I got. And I appreciate that, Ari Aster. I appreciate you scaring the crap out of me. So, yeah, Hereditary definitely for my number four. Um, my number three, we go from the Predator to the Alien franchise, and that would be Alien Romulus.
Still have not seen that film. I really should, and I
What?
just watched and
What?
reviewed Alien Earth. I know. I just,
Me neither. No, I haven't seen
I'm
that
sorry.
either yet.
You haven't seen it either?
No.
Alien Romulus?
Yeah,
Look,
no, I haven't
it's
seen
not
it
so
yet.
much that we don't want to, it's just time.
Yeah.
I am guilty of this, so I will make the time. Maybe not this month, but I'll make the time to watch that. So yeah.
Right, right.
Mhm.
But I understand time because I myself, there's so many films that I want to catch up on, and you always feel like you have that whole FOMO thing going on, and you're trying to keep ahead of stuff. So I understand, but I hope you guys get to watch it because Alien Romulus is is amazing. I don't know. I don't want to spoil it for you guys. I wish you could have seen it on a big screen. It's one of those movies that is highly aware of its roots. It's respectful of its roots, but it also wants to do its own thing, and it does it in a phenomenal way. I see it with Alien Earth. I see it, but instead of course, Alien Earth, I'm enjoying that. I really am, but I do think it has pacing issues. This movie does not, because Fede Alvarez is a damn genius. I know, Alicia, I know you like Fede's work as well. So you should definitely check out Alien Romulus when you
Yeah,
can,
yeah.
right? And yeah, the acting here is phenomenal. I know recently we've seen David Johnson in A Long Walk. I would say keep your eyes on David Johnson.
Okay.
At
Okay.
first movie I ever saw him in was, of course, Alien Romulus. He plays one of the synthetics, and he is so damn good in that. And then now seeing him in The Long Walk, I know I'm gonna keep my eye on this young man. I honestly, he has my vote if they ever want to make him the new T'Challa for Marvel. He has my vote.
All
He's
right.
that good,
Okay.
right? Yeah, the production design, the sound design, the practical effects, the atmosphere. I mean, damn it, there's so much good stuff happening in this damn movie that it instantly brought the Alien series, the Alien franchise back to life for me. because I know there has been some struggles there with Prometheus, and now I like Prometheus. I actually do like Prometheus a lot. Um, Not so much Alien Covenant. I just couldn't get past how stupid those people were. But um, this one, this is the movie that made me sit up and be excited for anything with a xenomorph in it again. And that's this movie is actually the reason that I decided to watch Alien Earth, because I was like, okay, if this is what they're gonna be doing with the franchise going forward, I definitely want to be part of that. So yeah, Alien Romulus for the win, and I hope you guys get a chance to see it over the spooky season. And my number two, um, this is, you know what? I'm just gonna say it. It's the first Omen.
Okay, the first
It's the
Omen.
first Omen,
I really enjoyed that. Yes, I did. And I like how, without
right?
spoiling anything, how it bleeds right into the original film, which, yes, I actually
Yes.
watched that. Well, when I watched the first Omen, I rewatched the Omen afterwards. Like, wow, like it just flows so well, man. Wow.
That was
Right.
a big surprise for me actually because I went in not expecting too much from it, and it was a really nice surprise. So good choice, Sam.
Yeah. Same for me, Alicia. I went into this not thinking they could ever match the energy of that first movie, because as Alicia knows, The Omen is one of those movies that scarred me for life. The Omen is one of the few horror movies I saw it as a child, and I've always been, as not always, but as a kid, religious stuff used to scare me because um going to Catholic church as a child, and some priests, I don't know if they don't realize they have children in the audience, but they'd always talk about, oh, you're gonna go to hell if you do this and you do that. And again, I took those things to heart as a child. I was one of those kids that used to overthink about stuff like that. And when I saw The Omen as a kid and basically see the devil win by the end, I was completely terrified. I was like, okay, that's it. Well, this is the world now. Everything bad is gonna happen. And it was
Yeah.
a movie, yeah. And funny enough, a lot of people talk about The Exorcist scaring them like that. The Exorcist never scared me, and I saw that when I was like 9 years old. And no, my parents are not insane. I snuck and I watched The Exorcist when I was like 9 years old. But The
Wow.
Omen, yeah, the Omen was a movie that just it honestly, it was so traumatic for me that I did not watch it again until I was an adult. And I had to convince myself to sit down and watch it. I'm like, you're a grownish person now. You need to face this movie. That's how much of an impact. So when I saw the first Omen was coming, I was like, okay, I don't think they could pull this off. I don't think it could ever be that good, but it's that good. And the cinematography really surprised me. This movie looks, and I mean this in the best way possible, looks like it was shot in the
In the
60s, the
in the
70s,
70s,
some of the
yes,
things.
you're right. Yes,
70s,
yes.
right? And it completely convinces you that, oh yeah, this is the first Omen movie you have ever seen, right? And then Nell Tiger Free, what the hell, as Margaret,
Yep, yep.
Ralph Ineson as Father Brennan.
Mm-hmm.
I was just everything, everybody in this. The world feels real, but it also feels like this is a bad dream. Everything about it is just so immersive. The score is insane, and I'm not a person that really pays attention to things like that.
Mm.
And I just all of it just works so well. I see this movie has like a 6.5 on IMDb, and I'm like, oh, to hell with that.
Well,
This
look,
movie
no,
is
you
a 10
studying
out of 10
IMDb.
for
You
me.
should be studying Rotten Tomatoes, right? I mean, just saying. Just saying.
Right?
Right.
Right? This is um I saw a comment on IMDb actually as going through it, and it said something like the first Omen is like the Rogue One of horror movies, and I'm like, oh my god, yes, that is
I
so
like that. I
true.
like that. I like that. Mm.
Right? Because as prequels go, as I said before, in most prequels, you kind of know where it's gonna end. You have to know where it's gonna end up. So you're like, this could never really be that impactful because it's gonna be predictable. The First Woman is anything but predictable. And like you said, even though that is quite a feat to pull off, considering it seamlessly blends in to the next film, and yet it's never predictable. So yeah, that's my number two. I absolutely love that movie. And my number one is probably gonna bring Alicia a lot of joy,
Oh boy,
right?
I genuinely can't wait. I genuinely can't wait because he just
Right.
been bringing bangers right now. I mean, so far. So, yeah. What's your number one?
Um, no, I'm giving this movie number one because of the fact that I feel like, first of all, I'm cheating a little bit. I'm going to warn you guys. Because the reason I'm going to cheat it is a tie for number one. And the reason I'm going to cheat is because I feel like both of these franchises have managed to do the same thing in that they took an old premise and they injected heaping of adrenaline into it, making it new, bringing in new audiences, bringing in new people but also respecting the fans of horror, the fans that have been there from the very beginning, fans of slashers, fans of the supernatural. And they've also made it so that people see horror movies are not, for want of a better word, stupid. Horror movies can be smart. They can be elegant. They do have something to say. And these two films, but not these two movies that I'm going to talk about, they birth franchises that have gone on to make so much money that it has given horror movies the respect they've always deserved. But in this modern era, they're getting a level of respect and attention. And I feel like it's because of these films. My number one, and it's a tie because I'm sorry, Matthew, I could not choose Scream and The Conjuring Part 2.
Now you know, as you say, Scream, right? As you say, Conjuring, right? At the time of us recording this, I just watched the first Conjuring because just like you guys, I'm planning to talk about last, right? So I'm gonna talk about that in the show here, right? But I've only rewatched the first film today, right? When we're done,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna watch two. And somehow I have a feeling that I'm gonna enjoy two more than one because I'll never forget seeing two in theaters and just being blown away by the scope of it. It felt like the Evil Dead 2 of this
Yes,
Conjuring universe. You know what I mean? I absolutely enjoy
yes.
that, right? But
Yeah.
I'm saying all this now because I know there will be the diehard fans who will come and say one is better than two, but I don't know. There was something about two that just roped me in, though. Like this really like kept me on edge,
Thank
from
you.
start to end, right? But yeah, let me shut up.
Yes.
Take it away, Conjuring 2. But yeah, let's start with Conjuring 2. Why Conjuring 2 out of compared to one?
Well, I'll put Scream a second. Scream is not. I don't think it's of the past 25 years because it came out in '96. But I just
Right.
wanted to mention what that movie did for slashers.
Mm-hmm.
I am grateful. So we'll just leave Scream right there.
Well,
Let's talk
which
about The
Scream you want to talk
Conjuring.
about? Which one? Five or well, okay. So I still haven't
No,
seen
no.
six.
The first one. I was thinking of the first one because at the end of the day, the first Scream is perfect in every way. Honestly, it's the perfect slasher. It's the
All right.
perfect film. So as slashers go.
All
But
right.
I'm aware that it's not 25 years. I just wanted to mention that I feel like if it wasn't for Scream,
yeah.
there's a lot we wouldn't get. We wouldn't have gotten films like The Cabin in the Woods. We wouldn't have gotten those type of movies. So I just wanted to give some love to that movie.
All right. Well, I
So
just thought
if you
that at least you would have brought up if not Scream 4, if not Scream 4. Well, maybe not Scream 4, but
Scream 5.
why not 5 then? Because
Scream
I
5.
remember we spoke about 5 together.
I thought that's
Yeah.
what she was mentioning. Sorry.
What was
When you
that,
said
Alicia?
it,
Sorry.
I thought that was what she was referring to when she said Scream and Conjuring 2. I thought she was referring to Scream 5.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed 5, but it's not
Uh-huh.
1.
Okay.
It's not 1.
All right.
But
I get the
like to
logic.
give
I
some
get
love.
the logic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's keep the focus on The Conjuring Part
Yes.
2
Yes. Mhm.
and why I love
Yeah.
this movie so much and why I've seen it like
Yeah.
probably like 2 dozen times by now. Um, like you said, Matthew, there's just something about the second one, and I feel that something comes down to Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. They do such a phenomenal job of creating a relationship that honestly it doesn't exist in any other horror movie. There's no other
No.
horror franchise where there's a couple fighting evil and you
Right.
find yourself that you find yourself genuinely worried for these two people,
Caring about
and
them. Yeah.
yeah, caring about them. Now, I'm leaving aside the real life Ed and Lauren. I know
Mhm.
Alicia comprehensively covered that in her reviews. And for me, I treat these films as films. I'm not looking at the real world counterparts. I'm just interested in the movies. The Conjuring Part Two. I think like I said, the relationship between these two. There's a sense in the movie that we're gonna lose one of them because the movie is building on that for a very long time. They started in part two actually, where Lauren has a vision of Ed's death. And I'm sitting there this entire movie and terrified that this man is gonna die. And it ups the ante, it ups the fear. And you add to that these really well constructed scares based on the Einfeld. Am I saying that correct? Enfield haunting.
I'm
Um,
sorry.
Einfeld. Okay, right. Yeah, don't want to offend any British people out there. The Einfeld thing, and right, and just some really well crafted, phenomenal shots. Of course, we get the introduction of a demon that was so intriguing to people. That he got his own movies with Valak, right, and
Mm-hmm.
just a lot of one just it feels very much like one of those classic Hammer horror movies, like a night, like a classic Hammer haunting, like the haunting of Hill House, something like that. But of course, 10 times bigger, more modernized, and everything about this movie. It's hard to put my finger on it, but there's just something about this one. I enjoy the first one, I really do. But the second movie for me, and I feel it's because my only explanation really is because by this point, I am so enamored by this couple that are willing to put themselves in serious harm's way to try and save these families that I am invested in them and in this world in a way that I've never been with any other film. Because most other horror movies, you really do get one and done. It's very rare, with the exception of like a lesser character like Ripley. It's very rare we get horror movies where the characters are with us from beginning to end. So, what the Conjuring franchise, what has happened is we always have this sense of, oh, well, there's no way they would kill them, but maybe they would. Especially when it came to Ed, because, for real world circumstances as well. But putting that aside, the fact that in the movie they do establish pretty on that Ed is attacked, Ed is damaged, Ed is so we get this, we invested in these two, and because these actors have done such a phenomenal job of bringing life to these characters in a way that even if the Conjuring franchise goes on for years, I'm sure people are still going to be asking, hey, when are we going to see a cameo by Ed and Lorraine? They're going to want them to come back in. That's the kind of mark they've left on this franchise. And part two is where I feel like that mark truly, truly began. So yeah, I just love the second Conjuring movie, and it's my number one for the past 25 years.
Right. And just to kind of like whaley bring it back to Scream, now I kind of feel the need to rewatch 5 because I really enjoyed 5. Still haven't seen 6,
Yes,
believe it or not. I still haven't seen 6 because, again, life and, time and whatnot. But I wouldn't mind,
yes.
watching 5 and 6 as a little double feature.
Yeah, I'm so amazed. Really, I'm not gonna lie. I am very surprised by how well these modern day franchises are going, and I mean that in the best way possible. Because when you look at it, Final Destination, Scream, The Conjuring, Insidious, they've all been doing really well financially, but it's
Yeah.
putting that aside too. Critically, the fans are loving it, and I'm really Scream is one of those though that I feel Scream has one of the hardest jobs to do because
Yeah.
Scream has established itself as being meta. Every
Yeah.
Scream movie needs to represent some aspect of horror in the real world. So
Right.
that's very hard to pull off. And yet they keep going and they keep pulling it off. And now I'll be the first to admit, I think it's which one? Scream. Which one introduced these new people? Five, right?
Yeah. 5 will be where we saw like Jenna Ortega and oh gosh,
Right.
oh gosh,
Melissa Barrera.
yes,
Right.
and the girl from Anora who won Best Actress,
Yeah, Mikey
yeah,
Madison.
Mikey Madison, yes.
Yes, right. Now, I will be the first to admit I wasn't sold on these new people. It took a minute. I don't know, because when I saw the first Scream movie, I was I love that group of people from from the word go, Randy and everybody from the word go. This group, maybe it's because I was just being biased, but this group took a minute to grow on me. But I will say, by part six, I was on board with them. It took me a minute to warm up, to, especially like the character of Sam and stuff like that. I guess I just missed Sydney, but yeah, I really enjoyed Scream 6 more than I did Scream 5.
I prefer 5 than 6. I'm the opposite.
All right. Well, now that even gives me more inspiration to like watch those as a double feature. I think that they'll work if I just watch them back to back, right? But yeah. Outside of that, though, I mean, fantastic lists as I expected. Summer, great lists, great recommendations there.
Thank you.
That number one, I'm like real excited now because, as I say, I'm gearing up myself to watch Conjuring 2, later on today. So yeah, But other than that,
And might I recommend you watch them in chronological order? You'll enjoy it even more.
Yeah. Not release data, Matthew, in the Conjuring universe order.
Yeah.
okay, so for the uninitiated like me, right? It starts off with 3, right? Is it? Does it start with 3?
I actually have it on I actually put out a list on my TikTok, It starts with the nun.
Right.
Oh, you're talking about the
Right?
universe. Oh no, I'm
Yes.
Yeah.
all right. Understand. So it starts with the nun, and then
Right. So you have the nun, then you have Annabelle, the Annabelle creation,
Yeah.
right?
all right. Well, I hated Annabelle. I really enjoyed Annabelle Creation to the point that I saw it twice in cinema. I was like, what? I watched a Conjuring Universe movie twice. But yeah, I really enjoyed
Nice.
Creation.
Because
No,
I think,
creation. I enjoyed it.
yeah, creation was fantastic. I think that's my boy David F. Sandberg did that one, the guy who did Lights Out.
Lights out. Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, right. And then you have the Nun 2,
Yeah.
right? After that, it's Annabelle, like just Annabelle, right?
Right.
Uh, right. Then the Conjuring.
Right.
Then Annabelle comes home.
Uh-huh.
Then then La Llorona, which I argue is part of the Conjuring universe. They just say it's not because it didn't make as much money as the others, right?
So,
So
the priest from Annabelle shows up in that one.
yes, right. No, they like to go back and forth on whether or not it's canon. But I think it came from the fact that when it came out, it was the first time a Conjuring movie did not make the kind of money they're used to them making. So they were quick to kind of disown it like the redheaded stepchild. But it is part of the universe. So I would watch it after Annabelle comes home.
Yeah.
And then the Conjuring 2.
Right.
Right? Then the devil made me do it. The Conjuring, the devil made me do it. And then the last one.
Last right.
Last rites.
Right.
Yeah, that's
right.
the order. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Actually put it out on my TikTok so you can see it if you want to.
I will.
You can find it online. Yeah, you can find it online too.
And
Yeah.
as we wrap up here, right? So like just confession time. I've only stuck with the Conjuring films and the Annabelle, the first two. Didn't see the last one. I heard a lot of bad things about Nun, so I never bothered to. I don't even know if the second film, which came out last year, I think it was any good. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I should.
I would argue. No, sorry, sorry to cut you off. I think the Nun, funny enough, I'll tell you something. I did not like it when I first saw it. I thought it was atmospheric, not atmospheric, but I thought the location shots were nice and stuff, but I didn't think it was all that. I have gone on to maybe see the Nun like about 5 times now. Actually, I don't mind it. It's one of those easily digestible horror movies. I think the Nun 2 is not bad. I don't think it's that bad. I would give them both, like Matthew, I would give them both like a 6, a solid 6.
Yeah. It grows on you after a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I don't think they're bad movies. It's not like the Curse of La Llorona, that's like a 5. But the Nun movies, they're actually not bad. I think the only thing is they may be a little bit overproduced in the sense that I always find when horror movies are a little bit too quote unquote shiny, they don't be as scary, you know? I feel like most horror movies, they benefit from being grimy and a little bit gritty. And I think that's why, yeah. So the first Nun is a bit more gritty. The second one is a bit more polished. But the second one, there's a bigger action set pieces there, kind of like the Pope's Exorcist. But it works. It works. For what it is, it works. I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Okay, cool.